So, hello guys, welcome to the channel, and I was thinking, what should I make for my next video? And I finally realized something very simple. I've been posting a few videos on tanks. I actually bought my first I actually bought my first tank a few days ago. Sorry, I have a cough. But I actually realized, what if you're a new player, you don't know what a heavy tank is? Do tank destroyers have more health than a heavy tank? Who knows? And that's why I'm going to do a brief speech on what actually World of Tanks Splits includes. So, let's start. There are tanks from tier 1 to tier 10, where tier 10 are the strongest and tier 10 are the weakest, or like the worst. For example, this tier 10 tank, Concept 1B, which is only buyable, it has 2,350 health and has approximately, let's say, and it has 760 damage. But on the other hand, a tier 1 tank, let's say this M2 Light, which is the American researchable tier 1, has literally 300 health. 300 to 2,350. And even though the Concept 1B is a collector, say the M60 then, 2,300 health. You can go in this game from a tier 1, 300 health, all the way to a tier 10 with 2,300 health if you just play. So, one line, or a tech tree you can say, are a series of tanks from tier 1 to tier 10. For example, let's get a researchable tank, say, as I said earlier, the T125, a lovely balanced tank. Down here, as I'm on this, you can see the line from tier 1 to tier 10, and say you want to get to 225, this is the journey you're going to take to get all the way there. Now, you can see on the top, this is how much XP you need in total, how many credits you need in total, but ignoring that, this is a tech tree, or a line, you could say, which you progress through as you play, and the goal, mainly for beginners, is to get to this tier 10. Well, if you join, obviously, what am I trying to do in this game? I'm trying to get to the top tank. It's mainly the goal in most games. Of course, there are some guys who already have tier 10, many tier 10s who are just gonna like, well, this tank is fun, but after that tank it's not really fun, so I'm just gonna only get that tank only. So, but mainly for beginners, the goal is to get to tier 10. There are many lines to choose from. There are like around, what, 8 countries? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And ignoring these, ignoring the Blitz Nation, there are 8 8 countries. And all through these countries, you can see how many lines there are. Now, premiums and collectors, you can buy with them, which you can buy with gold, or you can get them through events, and these are called premiums and collectors. So say, and you can't get these through lines, as in Concept 1B, you can't research through the line, you can't get the T95 E6 through researching a line, and these ones, you can see the great tech tree, as in the Sheridan, or the T57 Heavy, or the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen. All of these you research. So say I click it. There are 49 researchable tier 10s in World of Tanks Blitz, but even ignoring those, these are all of the tier 10s which you can get. You can get all of them. So, moving on, let's think. This one is a light. The Sheridan is a light tank. The M48 pattern is a medium tank. Click, please. Yeah, thank you. The T57 Heavy is a heavy tank, as stated in the name. And the T124 is a tank destroyer. So, what are these tanks? Is this tank, the T124, have the same stats as the M48 pattern? No, and that's what they explain when you first create an account. Now, these are 4 categories. lights, mediums, heavies, and tank destroyers, and they're usually class. You can see them based on these 4 icons on the left. Now, you see this when you first start an account, when they ask you to choose a second tech tree, a second country, then they'll say, okay, lights do this, mediums do this, heavy do this, and all that. But let me just tell you right now. So, lights, okay, so for example, the Sheridan are very fast. Look, 67 kilometers forward, no pun intended, 67 kilometers forward and 22 kilometers backward, meaning these are very fast tanks. Now, they usually don't have that much damage. Ignore this part, okay? The Sheridan is a light tank, American light tank, which has the most damage, 570. But ignoring that, let's just choose a German one, okay? Mainly, light tanks will have approximately, 60 kilometers per 70, 60 kilometers per hour. They will have 300 damage per shot, and they will mainly have 1700 health. 1700, the Sheridan has 1700, the Vickers Light has what? Yeah, 1750. So they usually range from the 1700 to 1800 amount of health and are very fast. Now move on to mediums. Mediums have more health and armor than light tanks. For example, let's choose a 132-1. All of these, which I just showed, the 132-1, the Sheridan, they're all light tanks. And I go into this armor profile. Look, minimal armor. The red parts are the parts which will block your shot. And look, 254 mainly, and look, 100 and 250. So you can see not much armor, and that's what makes it fast. Let's go to a medium. Let's go a medium from the same country. 121. Chinese researchable medium. And you can see considerably that is way more armor. Full turret is 470, 360, 264, and even at the lower play, which was 50 in the light, is still 150. So mediums have more armor, and if you go hull down, then that is a lot of armor. And say you go up to this 5 degrees of gun depression, it's not very good for that tank. But even if you go here, you won't be able to penetrate it if there's a wall here. You won't be able to penetrate this tank. But I'm not here to talk about the 121. We're here to talk about what the game is. Now, lights, as I said, they had approximately 65 to 70 kilometers per hour. Speed forwards is 56, and as I told you, they have considerably, not that much, but a bit more health. Tell you what, that was a bad example. Let's go for the STB, one of the best mediums in the game, 1850 health. Let's go for the FV4202 that has 1850 health. So they have a little bit more health, armor than lights, but they're also a bit slower. Okay. And I also forgot to mention I think they have mainly more damage except for the anomaly, which is Sheridan, which has 330. Let's go down. Let's say 440, which is the most damage in tier 10 research or tier 10 mediums. So mainly they have approximately 400, 350, 400, which is a lot. Lovely. So mediums are basically have more armor, more damage, more health, but they are also a bit slower. Now let's go on to the most type recommended for beginners, heavies. Let's go for I'm trying to think of a heavy which doesn't have any special armor, like IS-7 has the pike nose armor, or has any weird armor like the VK or the 100, or doesn't have too much armor like the mouse. But let's think of a tank that has decent. Let's go for a 215B. if I go into the armor profile, heavy tanks, as I think I'm just stating more gaming words when in that tutorial, they boast thick armor and have a lot of HP to spare. Yep, it's like a medium, obviously, when you saw that, but that was just because the STB has a lot of armor. Some tanks don't. Because you might be thinking, why should I choose a heavy if mediums can have the same amount? Well, I chose STB, didn't I? That's because this is one of the... Okay, it's lagging. Please work. Yeah, okay. What's happening is, you can see that's hull down, but on a flat ground, there is still this part which you can penetrate. And if we choose a E100, let's say, which is a heavy, yeah, it can penetrate this part, these parts, hatch, or the cupola. So, heavy tanks have honor. Heavy tanks have more armor, more HP, but from armor, look, 2,400 from the mediums and lights, which are approximately 800. Yep, 2,400 health, 400 damage, which is of course worse than the 121, but it's still more than under the STB or something. And they are slower, 40 kilometers per hour, and abysmal reverse speed of 12. Or let's choose another heavy tank. Sorry, I have a cough. BZ-75. What does this have? 2,500 health, 40 and a 15 reverse speed. But what I'm trying to tell you is, okay, these usually have more damage than heavy tanks. That was the stock. This is the upgraded 620, but ignore that. Point what I'm trying to say is, heavy tanks, way more health. It's too much health. More armor, more... sometimes more damage, mainly on par with medium damage, but has the same as earlier. And let's finally go up to the tank destroyers. Now, these ones are the most complex, and I feel like I'm on 12.5 minutes, and I feel like I'm just gonna go all the way to 25 talking about these ones. Now, I'm gonna just go to tank destroyers just to simplify this out. And let's go to tier 10. Now, actually, let's clear that. These are the tanks in tier 10, and let's go to a tank destroyer. Now, the weird part about these are, tank destroyers are snipers. They hide in bushes, shoot people for extremely high damage. For example, let's choose the T110E3. The weird part about tank destroyers is some of them have a lot of armor, some of them have none. And that's the weird part. They can either rotate their turret, or they can only rotate their gun like this. So the T110E5 is a tank that has a lot of armor, doesn't have a turret, can only move its gun, and has high damage with a... oh my god, why is my mouse lagging out? 680 damage. And if you check all of tier 10, it is the 6th most damage out of all 83 tier 10s in the game. But, okay, let's go from armor to no armor. Let's go for the grill. Obviously, usually tank destroyers have more armor, but look, grill 15, literally worse than a light tank. You cannot bounce this tank unless you have some troll ricochet points. You can literally HE its front, which is not good. So this tank has no armor, but I might like to add, has a turret. Yes, you can move this turret, and it has a gun arc of 65 degrees. and has 500 and why is my mouse doing this to me? 580 damage. Then let's go to this tank. Yes, if you have this, if you know this game, you know what this tank is. This tank is the British tank destroyer, the FV-215B-183, the tank in the game which has the most damage in the whole 720 approximately tanks there are in this game, with a whopping 950 damage per shot. So let's talk about this 215B. It has a lot of damage, but it has no armor. It has good penetration, but the one thing that's common in tank destroyers is they have very good penetration. You can see 300. Let's choose a grill. 303. Obviously, this is the tanks which I'm selecting here. FV-4005, which is a British as well. 290, with both calibrated 305. So you can see that these are high penetration tanks, which some of them have a lot of armor, some of them have none, some of them are very fast, like, I don't know, speed 38, which is still slow. Let's go for a 45, I think it's a bit faster. Yeah, 40, which is the same as a 215B. Or some are very slow, like the Yag, which has 30. So they vary. And obviously I've talked about damage, speed, penetration, health. Yup. Some tank destroyers which have more health have more HP. 2000 is the highest for tier 10 for like HP, and tanks like, I don't know, the Grill have 1700, same as a light. FV-45 1700, same as a light. And point about this is you can split tank destroyers into two categories: more armor, less speed. No, turret. Like you can see, Yag doesn't have a turret. And you can split them into no armor, has a turret like the Grill, is fast like a FV-4005, which also has a turret. So you can split tank destroyers into two separate categories, even though they are the same thing. Now, heavies are the most recommended for beginners because if you make a mistake, your armor will save you. Tank destroyers, because some of them are really slow and some of them don't have a turret, a light can run behind them and absolutely ruin your day. So even though someone might be thinking, why don't I go for a tank destroyer or a medium? Trust me, go for a heavy. The first two tier 10s which I got were heavies. Actually, super heavies. German super heavies. Now, I actually forgot to put this part on my script, but there are also things called... Actually, let's stay on tech tree. Called... Where is it? Yep. Regular guns, autoloader guns, and auto-reloader guns. Now, 37 of these tanks are real auto guns. And let's go to heavy, just to make this simple. Let's choose E100. Okay? This tank has... let me skip that. Yeah, it has 645 damage, and then when you shoot, it has a 16-second reload. It goes delay. Okay, 15, 15, 15. Yeah, with a 645 damage. Now, say we go for the 460, it goes for 9 seconds. But point about this is that this is a regular gun. And honestly, if you want to talk about a regular, if you want to talk about, hey, autoloaders, auto-reloaders, regulars, then this box is practically all you need. Yep. Reload is longer, and it's simple. You shoot, reload. Once you finish shooting, once the reload is done, you shoot. It is simple. But other tanks, let's choose a autoloader. like the M60. Oh no, is this no. So this tank is slightly more complex. You can see this paragraph is way longer. Now look, this tank you can see has 2 shells. You'll shoot them, you have a 1.71 seconds, you shoot it, and then you have a longer reload. So even though this tank is 450 per shot, it goes bam, 450, bam, 450. You've done 900 damage into a tank, and then you go for that long 20-second reload. And that is what autoloaders are. Now, usually you can have 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots. There's a tank which has 10 shots. But let's choose this gun. There's 3 shots. Bam, 300. Bam, 300. And then they go like that. And you might be seeing when I shoot, bam, what is this reload in between? Well, this is called an intro clip between each shot, because you're not going to go, okay? You're not going to go very quick. And you need to have a gap between each shot to make it a bit more fairer and more balanced. So every time you shoot, bam, there has to be a gap. Bam, there has to be a gap. And bam, there has to be a gap. Now, we're getting on to the most complex, which I don't think I will be able to explain. An auto reloader, which there are a grand total of 2 researchable tier 10 heavies which are an auto reloader. Let's choose a Kron. Now the weird part about auto reloaders is it's like a normal one. Bam. Okay? The long reload. Bam, long reload. Okay. You take a long reload because you've shot all your shells. Okay? And this is the autoloader like strat, you could say. You shoot, autoloader, bam, and then you shoot, and then the weird part is in a few seconds you'll get that shell back. But to get that shell, oh god, I don't know if I can explain this. I don't know what I can do. I don't know why I clicked on a PZ4G and a Canavron. But oh god, this is gonna be complex. Let me think about how I could say this. You have 3 shots. Okay? Every time you shoot a shell, in an autoloader, you shoot a shell, intro clip, shoot a shell, intro clip, shoot a shell, and then you have that big reload to get all of them back. Now, an auto reloader is, say it has 3 shells, like a Kron, shoot a shell, it has an intro clip up 2.73 seconds, where it can then shoot a shell, 2.73 seconds, shoot a shell, and where then what will happen is you will have that long reload. But weird part is you can also do this. You shoot the shell, but instead of shooting this second shell, which they have shown in this, you reload that shell and then shoot it again. Now, I have an auto reloader, which I will be showing in a new video after this. So if you want more clarification on how auto reloader works, I will be showing you that in my next video. But this is how it works. These are what the tanks are. And after this, I'm going to bombard my channel with videos. I'm going to release 3 or 4 videos today. This is my first one, what the tank actually is. And now I'm going to show you how a tank actually, what happens when you actually create a new account. And to show you that, I'm going to show you a guest account. But until then, bye, see you guys in the next video, and hope you guys have fun.